shopgear.com.
The following is a presentation of the GERE Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Better Live Than Dead podcast.
And with that, we welcome you to Better Live Than Dead, the podcast. Sounds like a movie. Better Live Than Dead, the podcast. I am Ryan Wolfe at Wolfe BLTD on Twitter, joined on the line, on the internet line, by John Cimino at the JC Money. John, how you doing tonight, man?
Well, Ryan, I'm going to take my horse to the Old Town Road, or down the Old Town Road. I'm going to ride until I can't anymore.
That sounds fabulous, actually.
It's amazing.
We talked about that song, Cheap Plug, on another Better Live Than Dead podcast, BLTD number 137 with myself and Ben Mathewson.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Lil Nas X and how that song is actually pretty dope.
My daughters both love it. Love the song.
Look at it.
And my 5-year-old actually sings it verbatim, and it's cute. And but I'm like, well, okay.
Well, here's one thing I need
I don't
to
hate
ask
the song.
you. Did you get the chance to listen to the podcast? If you say no, I won't be mad, but I want to ask you.
I got through about half of it, and then I had to stop for a meeting, and then I just never got back to that.
Okay,
or
so you
quite
heard the
frankly,
story then.
I'm a few weeks behind. So
you're okay. So you heard
many
the story.
podcasts.
You heard the story.
Mm-hmm.
The $30 beat turns it into that, becomes the biggest hit of the year, and he'll probably win a few awards for it because it's just so freaking big.
Yep.
But we're here to talk baseball today.
But before you even do that, maybe for your next song talking podcast, I don't know. I have to listen to Top 40 radio when I have my girls in the car. I have to. Okay. So I'm starting to learn about these newer, cooler songs and all that. Yeah. A few of them I like, a few of them I couldn't care less about. But there was one of them. It sounded like it was an Informer remake from Snow's Informer from 1993. It sounded like it was a remake. I can't remember who the hell sang it now, but it was pretty hilarious, pretty confusing, and pretty awesome. I'm looking at it right now. Informer 2019. That's what I'm going to do here. Try that. No, it's taking me to a drama. Never mind. Forget it. I quit. Let's talk baseball.
I've got a couple songs here. Oh, Daddy Yankee.
That's it.
Featuring Snow. That is actually, they sampled that song. So you're right. Good call.
That is it. Yes, that is it.
I'll have to check.
I thought it was pretty dope.
That's the great thing about music these days is that you as we have more of a catalog, a personal catalog, a mental catalog, songs, you really learn that in music, all songs are pretty much the same. It's just a different technique. Yes. Or you get songs that are sampled. That's pretty dope. But I just have to put out there real quick. I'm liking everything Ed Sheeran's doing lately. Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, they had a great song. Ed Sheeran and Chance the Rapper had a song that just came out. Whatever Ed Sheeran is doing, I am on board and waiting for that album to come out.
Ed Sheeran makes middle-aged Canandaigua girls feel gangsta.
Hey, that is the truth because he himself acts gangster, despite the fact that he is as white as a piece of paper on a sunny day.
Yes. He does not. I
don't know if that made any sense, but I'm going.
He does not have problems with privilege, I'm sure. But anyways.
Oh no. Anyways, baseball. Talking baseball.
I pushed the envelope, BLTD land.
Yeah.
Listen. Just be lucky for those of you that might be a little insensitive to my dark style of humor. Just before Ryan hit the button to get rolling here, I was cracking some Magic Johnson jokes off the airs that probably Brandon, my co-host on Listen In, would appreciate very much. But Ryan's kind of like, whoa.
Hey, I don't look at you say what
except
you
for the first
say.
one. The first one was fine.
You say what you want to say. We're just trying to keep it kind of PG-13 or NC-17, whatever you're into.
We're HBO.
we're the late night HBO with the
something like that.
The real sex HBO, okay?
Yeah, right.
Anyways, looking at baseball, there's a lot of stuff going on. Baseball season, obviously full swing. It is right now as of podcast time, May 28th. So we'll be talking stats up to May 27th and including May 27th. I want to start off the top here. First off, we are a few days away from not only the Major League Baseball draft, but once the draft happens, two of the biggest free agents in baseball are expected to sign with I would presume new franchises, because if Dallas Keuchel were to go back to Houston, it probably would have happened by now. And if Craig Kimbrel were to go back to Boston, it would have happened by now. But John, the reason I bring this up, the Yankees are one of the teams that sent a top evaluator to watch left-hander Dallas Keuchel throw a simulated game last Sunday in Newport Beach. Now, Keuchel has been throwing, simulated games to show that first off, he's ready to go. He may only need a few starts to kind of get warmed up, or he may be able to come right up to the majors and just kind of come off the road and start. But with that being said, do you think the Yankees are a player for Keuchel, or do you think this is kind of just doing their due diligence to see what's out there?
Well, it never hurts for a team like the Yankees that, has a credit card with an unlimited credit limit, to go ahead and look at pitchers for a starting rotation that is not the best in Major League Baseball by and far. I mean, you look at what they're doing as of press time right now. They have what's his face?
Tanaka.
Oh my God, Tanaka. Yes, Masahiro Tanaka. On the mound, and more often than not, he's either really good or he gets lit up, and it's just it's never kind of in the middle with him. It's one side, it's one extreme or the other. Today happens to be that other extreme where San Diego jumped out to a 4-0 lead in the top of the first. So now the Yankees are playing catch up. They're going to need that. CC's aging. CC is aging. This is his last year. And I don't really know any of the other starters, to be honest with you. So, and part of that is I haven't really paid much attention to baseball, breaking down the wall, going through some personal things the past month and a half or whatever. But notwithstanding, I don't really know who the hell the pitchers are in the Yankees. So
according to SpotTrack, just to let you know, according to SpotTrack.com, right now, the New York Yankees tax threshold is $206 million to stay under the luxury tax. Right now, they have about $175 million towards that. So it looks like they have about $30.39 million available. So I don't think that getting Keuchel under that should be too much of a problem.
Well, no, because he's interested in a premium salary, of course. But from what I'm reading, going through different tabs right now, is that the general consensus is that Keuchel would be okay with inking a 1-year deal.
Yep.
In order to get, at close to it, a super premium salary, in order to maybe try and work to get that last big contract, because he's 31 now. And so you figure he would probably be trying to look at right now. This is the prime opportunity to get that last contract of his career.
Yeah. Looking at his stats here too. Keuchel was 12-11 last year with a 3.74 ERA. The year before that, he was 14-5 with a 2.90. 2015, when he won the Cy Young, it was 20-8. I mean, he's got talent there. He's a very good pitcher. I certainly think that he'll obviously be much better if he has a better team around him, as is the case with anybody. But I certainly think that Dallas Keuchel might be a missing piece for some teams where he can put them over the top. And I think especially the New York Yankees, like you said, inconsistencies and injuries. I mean, it never hurts to have some insurance. And I think Dallas Keuchel, I mean, you see a lot attached to a team like the Yankees with Dallas Keuchel.
But it's with anybody with the Yankees.
Exactly.
It's kind of like the Lakers with, the Lakers with the NBA, where everybody, every free agent is attached to LA somehow. And then they either wind up going to the Clippers or not the Lakers because they're being run. Although Jeannie Buss is fine as hell. But, it's like that. It's the same thing, with the Patriots in the NFL. Do top free agents want to go and play for Tom Brady? Well, the Patriots don't really play that game. They don't really care. So it's kind of dismissed, but it's still there. The Yankees are very much that franchise in Major League Baseball that no matter who it is, no matter what team they're from, everybody's linked to the Yankees. I mean, for Christ's sakes, look at Manny Machado. How long was he linked to the Yankees for? Bryce Harper, he was linked to the Yankees at one point. I mean, everybody is linked to the Yankees because it's the biggest market. They've got, the most titles, and, they have a fan base of, old people and bandwagoners from the Core 4 era that span across the country. So That's why they're the evil empire. You know what I mean?
And this is kind of weird for me because Major League Baseball never used to kind of cover the rumors, but now that they're getting very kind of strong into it, where they've got two articles. They've got one about Dallas Keuchel, one about Craig Kimbrel. They're talking about right here. It says that signing Keuchel before the June 2nd draft would cost the Yankees their second highest pick, which is 38th overall, as well as the $1.952 million in signing bonus money associated with that slot. But if they wait till after they go to June 3rd, it costs them nothing but the money in the contract. But then, as John mentioned, Luis Severino's out till after the All-Star break. James Paxton admitted he may need to pitch through knee discomfort once he comes back from the injured list. CC Sabathia is 38 and has been on the IL twice this season. J.A. Happ is 36 and has a 5.09 ERA. And Domingo Herman still needs to prove he can make it through an entire season as a big league starter. Mm-hmm. With that being said, though, Braves general manager Alex Anthopoulos, who the Braves have been just for past reasons, but also present reasons, have also been linked to Craig Kimbrel. He said it's, quote, I think it's fair to say any free agents that are out there, we will do our work on them, but obviously they've been very tied to very, very closely tied to Craig Kimbrel, but also mentioned on Dallas Keuchel. The Rays have also been in touch with him. Keuchel was spotted at an Angels game recently with in Scott Boris's suite. So again, this is interesting because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like that he wants to play on the West Coast or near the West Coast. But then again, you see here May 10th, John. Let me see. I almost said Paul Heyman. John Heyman. MLB's John Heyman says the Yankees are the most likely to land Keuchel. And then you look here, just scrolling down real fast.
Well, they're the most likely. They'll if they're in a bind and they started off very slow and they've worked their way back up despite all of the injuries and half of their starting starting lineup being on the IL. Here's my thought.
Is that Keuchel will go. I have to think if he's going to try to cash in, he'll go where the money is. Mm-hmm. If Keuchel's trying to go where the best situation is to win, like say for instance, and I know Milwaukee's not tied to him, but say Milwaukee offers $10 million, but the San Diego Padres offer $15 million. He may say, I'm going to take the $5 million hit, go play for a team that can win now and help me be better statistically. So that way, when he goes in the post or goes into the off season next year, he can get that big contract one more time instead of saying, I'm going to take the most money now. I mean, because he's mentioned that too, that, the money wasn't so much as if he wanted the money, he would have taken it before. It's about the fit. So we'll see how that one works out. And looking at the Craig Kimbrel article quick before we move along here, it says both players are expected to sign after midnight on June 2nd. The Rays are keeping in touch with Kimbrel. Kimbrel's also expected to garner interest from the Braves and Phillies, also possibly the first place Minnesota Twins. The Rays are looking at Kimbrel more of a possibility because of the bullpens. Mm-hmm. And so there could be teams that could jump out, but there also could be teams that that's wild. I was just reading something here. It says the Dodgers would welcome Kimbrel, but not as their closer. Like, bro, he's the best closer we've seen in baseball in a little while.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want him? But then again,
it wouldn't. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if he went back to Atlanta. He spent his first 5 seasons there. So
absolutely, I agree with that one.
That could be it could be one of those things where you don't know what you have until it's gone, and it was gone when he went to San Diego for the 15 season, and then Boston the last 3. Maybe he heads back to Atlanta and hangs with becomes a Brave again. Excuse me there. I was going to say, a little tongue tied.
You're okay. I think that's a possibility here. And I'm just looking at Twitter. I'm sorry. Moving over to the baseball standings. The reason I mentioned the standings, I know it's 50, 60 games into the season almost. Mm-hmm. And people say it's irrelevant, but I digress. Hear me out on this one. Last season, 5 of the 6 division leaders on Memorial Day, or who led the division after Memorial Day, was in the books. Either or. Memorial Day last year, 5 of the 6 teams that led the division won their division. So, John, I give you a lesson in, I don't know, potential here. 6 teams, obviously, currently leading their divisions. We'll start in the NL West. The Dodgers, 36-18, have an 8-game lead. The Cubs in the Central have a half-game lead over Milwaukee. Philadelphia in the NL East has a 1.5-game lead over Atlanta. Houston at 6.5 over Oakland in the AL West. Minnesota, 10 games over Cleveland in the AL Central.
Yeah, how about that? Who called that in the beginning of the season?
Not many people. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Yeah, exactly. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes here.
I love how the Red Wings, too, on Twitter refer to them as dad.
That's hilarious. Yeah. And then you got the New York Yankees 35-18, 2 games over Tampa Bay. So, John, looking at this right now, just judging by the amount of games every team is up, I would have to say the safest bet to see, Chicago's leading the Central on Memorial Day, but Milwaukee's hot on their trails. I think that one is probably, if we're going to pick 5 out of 6, probably Chicago. I mean, the Dodgers have an 8-game lead. It's early, but that's got to be safe.
Yeah, the Dodgers are always like this. They always have a sizable lead at some point during the season, usually end up finishing out winning the West because the West is so terrible. And then they fizzle out in the playoffs. And so the Dodgers, I don't know. If you're a Dodgers fan, this is the same old.
It's really, honestly,
we win the regular season, woo! But you can't get over that hump in the postseason. You just can't.
Maybe it's rich of me to say that, but I feel like it would be pretty boring. I mean, you've got a guy like I just had it right in front of me, Cody Bellinger right now, by far the MVP of the National League up to this point. Yes. 19 home runs, batting 383, was batting 400 as late as last week.
Right.
I mean, but it's got to be boring to. I mean, granted, it's nice to win. Don't get me wrong, but when let me look at the Dodgers really quick because I actually didn't look at this, but. You look at the LA Dodgers list of seasons, which I love. I love that Wikipedia has this because it makes my life so much easier. I'm going to scroll down here to the
As
bottom.
you scroll, I'm going to change every word in there now to just say taint.
That would be something. Let me see. List of Dodgers seasons. Okay, so, and again, maybe it's not boring to be a Dodger fan, but you look at this here. The last 3 years. We'll look from 2013 on, okay? Because they've made the playoffs every year since 2013. They've won the division every year since 2013. It only seems fair. 2013, they win 92 games. They lose in the NLCS. 2014, they win 94 games. They lose the NLDS. 2015, they win 92 games. They lose the NLDS. 2016, they win 91 games. They lose the NLCS. 2017, they win 104 games. They lose in the World Series. 2018, they lose 92 games. They lose in the World Series. And this year, they've won 36 games, which puts them tied with Houston, Minnesota at the top for most games won so far. Clearly headed to another NL West championship that would put them, 3, 6, 7 straight? I mean, you got to, at some point, crap or get off the pot, I think.
Well, yeah, and Don Mattingly was the problem, wasn't he?
Look, I think the problem is they just they don't play meaningful I know it's so cliche, but they don't play meaningful baseball for most of August and September.
Right, exactly.
Then it's literally is gut wrench time. Shape up or shape out, whatever cliche you want to use. And I mean, it is what it is. Really, it is.
So I'm looking even farther up here. Okay. On this season-by-season record for the Los Angeles Dodgers season. And their very first season in 1883, when they were known as the Brooklyn Grays.
1883, holy crap.
1883. They were a part of the International League, the IL. Minor League, IL, the one that the Red Wings play in now. And they finished first at 44-28. Congratulations, Brooklyn Grays. Okay. Anyways, the Dodgers suck.
Another thing to point out, too, is it's probably good for the Dodgers that Clayton Kershaw, 5-0 and 8 starts this year. That's pretty good. Looking over the rest of baseball, though, Chicago Cubs, Milwaukee Brewers, that'll be fun to watch. Philadelphia, I presume that they'll just take off, despite the fact that Atlanta has a 1.5 game or is 1.5 games back, I should say.
Well, you never know. I mean, they're not too far back, and also, going back to the Craig Kimbrel thing, if they end up landing him, that's a solid arm that could definitely help close out some games for them, even against in the same division against the Philadelphia Phillies, where they might not have had that advantage before. But
looking on paper, with Philadelphia compared to the Braves, I think at some point you want to see Philadelphia kind of pick it up and take off a little.
Right.
But I mean, it's really hard to say, but that would be my best guess, is that at some point in time that will happen. Now, question I have for you just popped in the top of my head. Bryce Harper, 194 bats, batting 227. Are you fine with Philadelphia giving him the Philadelphia treatment, booing him, or do you not care at this point?
I mean, that's just Philadelphia being Philadelphia. So I mean, they booed Santa Claus at a football game.
Didn't they throw batteries at him?
They threw batteries. They threw snowballs. They threw all sorts of crap at him. Whatever they had in their hand, they booed Santa Claus. And it is 1975 or 76, I think, at the old stadium the Eagles used to play in. Philly is not known for having the classiest fans in the world. So he had to know that going there to a market like Philadelphia, where their fans are, by all intents and purposes, hardcore. If he were to go there, if he were to go to a Boston, if he were to go to a New York, whether it was the Mets or the Yankees, one of those kinds of markets that are super big, spotlight every night kind of deals, and you don't perform, crowd's going to boo you. Yeah. They booed Derek Jeter. Using the Yankees, for example, they booed Derek Jeter. Had a very, very terrible start to a season. I think it was 2002, I want to say, where he was batting like 120 something after, the first 3 weeks of ball, and he just couldn't get it done. He wasn't getting it done, and the crowd was booing him. And he said that turned, I hated being the whole idea of being booed by my hometown crowd so bad that I had to really, put in the grind and get to work. Hopefully Bryce has that same mentality, but at this point right now, they're married to him for the next 13 years. So Philadelphia is going to have to learn to get used to these kinds of things happening from their big player. And Bryce has to get used to those kinds of things happening from the crowd when he's in those slumps, because it happens to everybody.
Absolutely. If you're on the Gear Network Sports Facebook group, which if you're not, let us know and we'll invite you. We'll get you in, where we just share a bunch of great video stories and photos around the sports world. Bryce Harper's still not letting it bother him, though. I mean, he saw the video in Chicago where he was messing with some fans and chucked the ball out of the stadium onto one of the rooftops. I mean, that stuff, he cracks me up. He's still great, but
he doesn't. But I'm guessing just based off his personality, at least what he gives off, that he don't care.
As long as the check's cash, he doesn't care. Right?
He's getting paid. He doesn't care.
So looking at the rest of baseball right now, let me see something here. Just checking one thing really quick. I apologize there. Mm-hmm. Looking at the AL West, the Oakland Athletics, I bring them up right now. They're on a 7-game winning streak, despite the fact that they have won 10 straight games. I'll tell you about that in just a second here. But they're 6.5 behind Houston at Houston's 36-19. They again look to be atop the American League, the class of the American League. The thing about Oakland, which is kind of fun, is that they have won 10 straight games, like I said, but they're only credited with a 7-game win streak because their 8th game that they played was a suspended game. So it's to be completed on September 6th. So they have won the 6th from May. They've won the 16th, 17th, 18th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. They play the Angels tonight. But because that suspended games are, they've won 10 straight, but only get credit for a 7-game win streak. Mm-hmm. So that kind of blew my mind a little. Talking about the Minnesota Twins in the Central, if they don't keep this 10-game lead, that's fine. If they lose the division and don't make the playoffs because of it, holy crap. They have been a fantastic team. Right now, they lead the majors in runs scored with 319. Their plus 110 also leads the majors as well. Mm-hmm. I believe they're on pace right now to eclipse if not surpass, the home run record set by the Yankees. I believe it was last year. Mm-hmm. Right now, the Twins have 4 players with 10 home runs or more. They've got a 16, a 13, a 12, and a 10. 2 players with 9, 2 players with 7, 2 players with 5, or 3 players with 5. So they are hitting the ball to the park, and they're getting guys to hit for average too.
That's good.
For me, one of the biggest things this year Byron Buxton's batting .258, but it seems like he's kind of getting it together. Eddie Rosario picked it up. Mitch Garver, I remember seeing him in Rochester with the Red Wings. He looked like he was going to be some sort of talented player. 25 games this year, 9 home runs, .329 average. Not even talking about the pitching staff yet, which features our boy, the original GERE guy, Jose Berrios.
Yeah, buddy.
7-2, John, in 11 starts this season. He is well on pace to, if not surpass his career high in wins in a season which was 14 2 years ago. A .320 ERA. Right now, he is tied for third in the American League with teammate Jake Odorizzi with 7 wins, only behind Justin Verlander with 8 and Domingo Armandi, previously mentioned, with a 9-1 record for the Yankees. So the Minnesota Twins have been the biggest surprise of this season. Do you think, John, this is something that they can continue, or do you think they may come back to earth at some point in time here soon?
Do I think, or do I hope? For Minnesota's sake, for their ties to Rochester alone, I hope that this is, their coming out party, and kind of just like, we're here and kicking the door down and saying we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. But historically, Minnesota has always been a decent team, but could never get over the hump. And we're many, many years removed from the Gardenhire era, where that was a thing every year. So now this is a young Minnesota's a young team, completely different nucleus than the last time that they were in that era of consistency. I think that if they continue at the pace that they're going right now, and we've seen guys come through Rochester, Berrios, for example, Buxton, for example, just going up there. I can't remember who just got called up the other day, Dustin something, but just got called up the other day. And what they're doing in Minnesota right now with the element that they have and the dynamic that they have, not only just there with the Twins, but down in the minor league system too with the Red Wings, makes it that much easier for somebody to be called up from the style of play and the system and the atmosphere that is at the big league clubhouse and from the minor league clubhouse. They've got consistency between AAA and Major League Baseball, and I think that's helping them in the long run, because it's not such a drastic adjustment for these players that come from their farm system, and they've done it organically.
Absolutely.
Berrios, we covered Berrios in 2015 when he was here in his multiple stops in Rochester, and place was packed every time he pitched. He was showing then that he had all the tools to be who he is now.
It was tough the first couple go arounds for Berrios, because when you watch him in Major League Baseball make those adjustments, you say to yourself, I know this guy can pitch well. I know this guy's got he's got multiple pitches that he can throw for strikes, put it where he wants to put it. And he really can control the zone, but he was having trouble with that. As time has gone on, especially this season, he has shown that he has made those adjustments to become that pitcher that we all thought he could be when he was in Rochester. And not only for Rochester selfishly, but for Minnesota, it's nice to see they're able to start developing players in mass, because for the longest time it was, they would make they would have Morneau and they would have Mauer, and then that was it. They had Michael Dyer, and that was it. And then they would have pitchers come up who would be terrible. They'd have position players come up who would be terrible. And now they're finally starting to churn players out where, hey, if player X isn't working, we've got 2 guys in Rochester who can replace him and be better than he was. So
and again, I think that comes with that consistency, the same system, and to kind of tie it to another sport in hockey with the Penguins organization specifically. And I know this because Brandon was speaking a lot about it. He's a Penguins fan, but their model of consistency that they have with the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Penguins, and the Pittsburgh Penguins, the NHL hockey club, the system's the same, coaching style's the same. There's direct talks between the head coach, the coach of the NHL club and the coach of the AHL club. The players are being developed in the same system that would be used in the NHL. So when they were able to plug and play and call people up from the AHL, it was just pretty much a consistent style of playbook, maybe some different plays or whatever, but nothing terrible. And they were able to just kind of take the old gear off, put the new gear back on, and the machine was keep on going. That's the style that Minnesota's doing right now. And you're seeing that, to your point, for a very long time. It was, hey, remember we were the team that pumped out Justin Morneau and Joe Mauer and what's his name, the pitcher, lefty
Santana,
not Santana, the other one. He came down here for a stint for a bit. He ended up on the Pirates.
Oh, Liriano.
Liriano, that's it. Liriano. Yep, Liriano was here for a bit too. And, but that was that. There was such a sizable gap between all of those. And then, now, you can say the name Wilson Ramos. Everybody knows who Wilson Ramos is. He was a former Red Wing. Trevor Plouffe. I don't know where he is now, but he was pretty outstanding as a Rochester Red Wing. And when he got called up to Minnesota, he was doing some things in his time there before he, moved over to Oakland and, did things there. And now I don't know exactly where he is, but Barrios, Buxton, these are names that are recent enough in Red Wings fans' history that, you could say, I just saw him last year. I just saw him a couple of years ago here or whatever. And they're doing things on the big stage. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't like that for a very long period of time. So what they're doing, that whole club, I'm hoping that that it sustains the entire season because it's a nice story to follow.
Even if they regress back to the mean a little, that 10-game lead they built up is going to help them out a ton and take off a lot of pressure, which may even make them more dangerous. But
aside from, Cleveland, and they're 26-27 right now. They're playing against Boston as we speak. Cleveland could always, I guess, find a way and turn it up. But the Central is not like the East, where at any given point. If we did this podcast last month, the Yankees and the Red Sox would both be at the bottom of the AL East right now, and Tampa would be up at top with a decent lead. And then came, Baltimore, and everybody's beating up on them. And the Yankees are back up top. Boston's chasing them. Boston's 6.5 out of first, where the Yankees currently sit right now. And that can change. Like those two teams can, like a 6-game lead is not safe between the Yankees and the Red Sox or anything like that. I don't have that same vibe with all the different teams that are in the Central right now. So I think that as long as Minnesota does not have a monumental Atlanta Falcons like crash, I could see them riding this out all at the very least to win the division.
Absolutely. And looking over at the East really quick, like you mentioned, the Yankees have a 2-game lead on the Rays. They've looked good enough where they should be able to keep it up. Like you said, with the starting pitching has been suspect, but the bats have been hot. Tampa's continuing to focus on young talent, and they've been doing it the right way. They're 32-19 at this point. The Red Sox have been coming back around, but still struggling to really keep their head above water. Seems like when they take 2 steps forward, they take 3 steps back, which has really kept them at the 29-25 record so far. So it's but right now it's New York, Tampa, and Boston in the East, and then the wild card. So I really think that all 3 of those teams are good enough where we'll probably see all 3 of those teams fighting for 2 playoff spots, either with a division title and then the wild card play. And we'll see these 3 teams in those 3, or in that form, in that facet somehow. So
I don't disagree with you there.
Just to keep an eye on that one. But I want to talk real quick before we get the ball rolling here on the podcast. We have some rookies to talk about. I know Josh Bell, he's not a rookie, but this Past month, he's been on fire. He's batting .340 this season, 17 home runs this season. But the reason I bring him up is that this month, I should say, in the last month, he's hit 11 home runs, batting .394 in 25 games. That's pretty damn good. Talking about the rookies, though, to determine rookie status, it says your player should be considered a rookie unless during previous season or seasons exceeded 130 bats or 50 innings pitched in the major leagues, or accumulated more than 45 days on an active major league club or clubs during a period of the 25-player limit. With that being said, in the National League, Pete Alonso looks like he's running away with the NL Rookie of the Year, and why not? I mean, batting .254, 17 home runs, been a very nice piece to that Mets lineup. But two pitchers looking to make some arguments here. Mike Soroka, 5-1 with a 1.07 ERA and 8 games started for the Braves. And Chris Paddock, he has a 4-2 record with a 1.93 ERA and 9 starts for the Padres. So some good talent over the National League. And in the American League, you have, it says Brandon Lowe is a rookie, which he would be because he was, before this season, 43 games, 129 at bat. So, yeah, he would be a Rookie of the Year candidate. He has a .276 average, batting .276, 11 home runs, 30 RBIs in 47 games. The guy to keep an eye on, though, Michael Chavis. I don't just say this because I'm a Red Sox fan, but this man hits bombs. He's got a swing that when he gets a hold of one, he spins himself into the ground like when you're tying down like a little tie down for your dog's leash, just screws it right into the ground. He screws himself down right into the ground.
A stake.
Yeah, he hits the ball country mile in 125 at bats, 10 home runs, 26 RBIs, batting .280. He has almost caught up to Brandon Lowe in 10 or 15 less games, so keep an eye on him. But his average home run is 426 feet. Wow. Crazy because his average launch angle is only 10.3 degrees. But he can hit the ball. I just
brought up his stats now. 23 years old doing that already? Jeez.
Yeah. He did get popped last year for a PED violation in minor league baseball. But hey, he's come back clean, passing all his tests, and still doing the same damn thing. Another name to keep an eye on, John. 30-year-old Marcus Walden, another Red Sox product. They seem to be good with finding pitchers off the scrap heap. They did with Ryan Brazier last year. This year, Marcus Walden. He did pitch for the Red Sox last year in 8 games, had a 3.68 ERA. But this year, 19 games, all in relief. He has 1 save in 2 opportunities and 30 1/3 innings in 19 games appeared. He has a 1.48 ERA and a 6-0 record as a reliever. So,
that's insane.
Another name to keep an eye on. And one last thing, John, before we wrap up the podcast, I see here Buster Olney reported back 7:52 p.m., so about 20 minutes ago. As reported during the winter, initial ask to teams for Dallas Keuchel was 6 or 7 years at $25 or $30 million annually, which is, I believe that goes down to, where was it? 7 years for $210 million. In the spring, Houston was offered a choice at 1 and 15 or 2 and 24. More recently, his camp, Keuchel's camp, is said to be open to a 1-year deal for a prorated annual salary at qualifying offer range of $18 million, which is about $12 million-ish for the rest of the season for Dallas Keuchel. So again, at this point, it looks like Keuchel's going to get paid, but again, it looks like he's probably setting himself up for the offseason of another big payday.
Well, right, and the earlier point that I made here was he might just take less.
Absolutely.
Not like peanuts or anything, but he might take less to show that he's worth that 6-7 year deal that he's seeking. Do I think he's worth 7 year, $210 million? No, probably not. I don't think he'd get anything like that. But I think it all depends. His agent Scott Boras, isn't it?
Yeah,
we say that
Boys
right?
got to get paid.
So Boras will probably do what Boras does, which is try and bid teams against one another and probably and at the sorry expense of the San Francisco Giants, who seem to be the losers in every Scott Boras sweepstakes. Probably pitch him to the Giants. The Giants will drive up the price, and then some random team like, I don't know, like with Machado, the San Diego Padres came out of nowhere and paid him a ton of money.
I think that Boras is, you mentioned
that's just his thing.
Well, you mentioned agents get teams to go against each other. Mm-hmm. Boras can get teams to go against themselves, and I think that's the most impressive thing about Scott Boras.
Yes. He's gotten a lot of people a lot of money. He's good at what he does.
And himself a lot of money for sure. But
yes, indeed.
Hey,
my man never has to work again.
Exactly. This is a good Better Live Than Dead podcast. As usual, we try not to disappoint you. Better Live Than Dead 138. We'll give it a title afterwards. I don't know what it'll be right now. But I am at Wolfe BLTD. I'm Ryan Wolfe. John is at the JC Money. You can hear the Better Live Than Dead podcast on betterlivethandead.com, Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Google Play Music. I couldn't think of the name of it. Anywhere you can get a podcast, you can get this podcast. And if you can't, let us know, and we will do our best to get it there.
Indeed.
John, before we go, any final closing thoughts?
Shut up, Ryan.
Thank you. As usual.
I know I forgot it last time. I wasn't going to forget it this time.
I appreciate you, man. It makes me feel nice and warm inside.
That's right. It's awesome. It's funny is that being told to shut up by me has now become some kind of a term of endearment. It's kind of like when the Iron Sheik talks crap about people. People are like, "Holy crap! The Iron Sheik just talked bad about me. It's amazing."
Exactly.
When I invite, it's a club now. It's a club. It's an exclusive club.
I appreciate being a part of that club.
You and your brother are, I think, charter members of that club.
We're the honorary inductees into the Shut Up Club.
Indeed.
With that being said, I am at Wolfe BLTD. John is at DJC Money on Twitter.
And I'm not in Twitter jail, so I can tweet back at you now.
We are Better Live Than Dead.
You are not.
We will catch you sometime very soon. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Have a good one.
Don't call Ben Shapiro the C word or you'll get Twitter jailed.
Bye.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the GERE Network.